Greetings. This is Angelo. I am the president and CEO of Double Exposure Media, celebrating 60 years in the music and entertainment industry. Today, I'm bringing one of my clients to your attention. Why? Because he's the author of an incredible book, Prove Them Wrong. I felt romantically in love with this book because it really reflects on my life, as I think it's going to reflect on every person that picks up this book and reads it. You should all know that I am not one to be a catalyst for every particular entertainer that comes across my way. This particular book and this particular person shines a light, a very positive light, on the struggles of a Black man who really wants to be a father. You know, in this community in which we live, we always talk about what a Black man is not doing for their families. The lack of love, broken homes, no appreciation for the unity. Well, this book is really, really a good book because it just tells a very powerful story. It talks about a gentleman that is romantically in love with his children and wanted the best for his children against all odds. I am going to take some time today to talk with, this is no interview, this is a conversation that I'm having with Andrew Minott, the author of the book, Prove Them Wrong. I'm having a conversation, and Andrew, before I get into this, deeply into this conversation, as I gave the kudos to the book, you know, my life is so much in this book, man. I come from a broken home. Siblings, 6. A mother who gave and provided the best that she knew how. As I grew older, I felt the void in the absence of understanding why my father, or why wasn't my father included in my early childhood. And even as I grew into being an adult, you reflect on the importance of loving and wanting to be the best father that you possibly can, but you met so many obstacles. Let's talk about your beginning. You're Jamaican born?
Sir, yes, sir, I am. Yes,
Tell
sir.
me a little bit about being born in that environment, understanding the discipline of the Jamaican communities and the parentings in the Jamaican communities. Tell me, how was it for you? What was it like, mother and father wise? And what was that teaching and that discipline that gave you and provided you with the strength and the energy to want to move forward?
First, let me say good morning and great being here, talking to you. Well, growing up in Jamaica, it had its ups and downs, but the way I was raised, I was naive to a lot of things. I was in a little bubble. Basically, I knew to work hard, have discipline, respect. If you came out of line, you get whooped. It wasn't like no, you can't touch kids and all that. It was very difficult at times because you weren't allowed to speak your mind, especially to adults. You couldn't if like you can't have a conversation. It's like you get shunned, like be seen and not be heard. That type of thing. Um, my father wasn't around, so I didn't even know him at that time. My grandparents, they were well off. They were good financially. I I was born and I saw like growing up in this. I was born grew up in the 70s in Jamaica. You got to understand, a lot of people didn't have basic things like a lot of homes wouldn't have television in the 70s. 60% of people didn't have a telephone. I was when I came up, I saw all these things. Grandparents had like 3, 4 cars. He owned his own business. We
You
had
speak,
all these.
Andrew, let me interrupt. You speak very much of your grandparents, but I really want to know about your mother and I want to know about your father. And then we can go around the clock and bring it back to your grandparents.
Okay,
So
okay.
What was okay? So I could tell you what my father was like, and where the void and the absent was, and the missing of love, the missing of guidance. I at some time thought that my father hated me. My mother loved me unconditionally because I was her child. Tell me what the relationship of your mother and your father was.
As far as my father, I didn't have one with him. I didn't even know him because the first time I can remember seeing him, as I said, "Who's that man?" And my grandmother, "Oh, that's your father." I was like, "What?" I didn't even know who he was. My mom, she worked all the time, and how my house was set up, like 2 stories. I stayed upstairs with my grandparents. My mom, I saw her when she came home from work. Um, it was like we never had a tight bond. They said my mom spoiled me, but I guess because she overcompensated because she wasn't there a lot. And but like I said, the first time I remember seeing my father was I was maybe that I can remember him. Um, I was maybe like 7 years old, and that one time he beat me, and I resented it. I was like, there was no justification for it, and at that point, I was like, you know what? I was scared. I was terrified of him. I saw him. I would be terrified. You, and I don't think that's the way kids should be raised. Is the fact that you see a parent and you're like, oh my God, and you're so scared. It was just like that. And my mom, she was just like, I loved her because she's all I knew as a parent because my father wasn't there, my mom was there. So a lot of times my mom wasn't around, I just like off my grandparents. So, but
So
I,
would you say that your grandparents is really responsible for your rearing?
a
They
hundred
were the
percent, a
and
hundred percent.
so for me, I remember being in my grandmother's home once and being about 7 or 8 years old. And my father and I were almost identical in terms of visuals. So he walked into my grandmother's kitchen and he said, "Who are you?" And my grandmother turned around and said, "It's your child, dumbass."
Wow, wow.
So what I'm saying to you is parallel. It's very parallel, and I think it's parallel in a lot of Black or marginalized communities where there's intimidation of the father because the father is supposed to be the one that's going to spank you or whoop your ass or do whatever he's going to do. Um, and so there was that intimidation. So I just never had a relationship. And as I hear what you're saying to me, you never had a relationship. Is it that you walked around in life feeling discounted, feeling not wanted by him?
Yeah, I felt that way. It I felt like he used me any way he could, and I was never. It never seemed like I was really wanted because basically I was a drive by. My existence was a drive by. Pretty much. My parents weren't together; they were separated, and my father showed up with my mom. Boom, she got pregnant, and basically that's me. Um, I remember one time he came back to Jamaica from the U.S. and we went to go visit him, and he wouldn't even like get to know me and have a conversation. He's like, "Come, you gotta go do some work," and I'd be start cleaning his yard up for hours. I'm just cleaning his yard up, and I remember I'm like in the hot sun, just I'm like, "Why am I even doing this?" And he's sitting down on the patio drinking, and I'm in the yard cleaning his yard up. I'm like, this is crazy. And at the time, I think I remember I was maybe like 12, 13.
Did you ever feel that you could have a conversation with your father, not being disrespectful, but saying to him, where are we coming from and where are we going to as a father to a son? Because I think a lot of the problems that we have in this day, in this society, and I think it's reflective of the past, there was such a lack of communication. We didn't say what was on our mind as respectfully as we possibly could to let him know that I don't feel love, I don't see you, I don't feel you. I don't have an emotion. Because I think that's what's happening today. I think that kids, young people are raising young people,
That's true, yo.
you
That's
know,
true.
and I think that the fatherhood of it all is not it's totally with not having the difference of you disciplining someone, that lack of love and appreciation that someone may is supposed to provide, but none of those things circle around to being a part of what is emotions. That emotional thing, nobody understands. We start talking about why the communities are like they are. It's a part of mental health. It's a part of the
Yes.
reason of why these kids are doing what they're doing, because they lack that love. And it really is important. It was important for me, and I'm sure it was important for you at that time. You just needed to be loved by the people, the creators, those contributors who created you. So I
True.
think that, this book proved them wrong. Tell me why was it so important for you to feel the kind of love that you needed to feel from your father?
I think every boy needs their father around. I just think that that's just what it is. Because you hear all these celebrities, athletes, actors say Happy Mother's Day, and everybody's Mother's Day is the biggest. Other than Christmas, Mother's Day is probably the biggest thing in America. Happy Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day. Father's Day come around, it's a blip. Like beep, it's just gone. But no matter what, no woman can teach a boy to become a man. Genetically it's not possible. You can tell him certain things, yes, you can raise him, but the intricate things about being a man, you can hear all these athletes talk about that, because that's why they have like a coach in their life, like a father figure. Everyone always says that, like the fatherless homes always have a father figure in that home, like a coach, a stepfather, somebody that's there to
So
teach the
you're a
boy.
father to how many at this point? How many children do you have?
I have 4 kids. I have 3 boys and 1 girl.
And do you treat them in the same way that your father attempted to raise you or to treat you?